a full suite of language technology solution for the ambitious enterprise.
The streaming platforms have poured money into producing and acquiring non-English language series.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Slatopod. Hi, Esther.
Hey, Florian.
This is our new news show, Esther.
Ooh, tell me more.
It's the new news-only show. We are going to switch to a twice-a-week release schedule. You know, we used to obviously have the news segment and then have the guest segment, and we all wrap it into one beautiful podcast and put it out on a Friday. But we decided to separate the two and, you know, do a news segment on the Friday if we get a chance to do it, and then have a guest segment sometimes we during the week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, around, you know, early midweek. And so you're going to get, we're going to show up in your feed more often. Today on the agenda, DeepL's aborted Write launch, translator employment in Germany, the jobs index, and you're going to tell us a bit more about media localization M&A.
Yes.
But also do check out Slatacon Remotes coming up on Wednesday, December 7th. That's in, roughly a week from now for those listening in on the Friday. We are heading towards 400 or more participants. So really cool. Lots of networking, of course. Still time to register. Great agenda all across that large industry of ours, the language industry, literally anything from like transcription, you know, WTO translation requirements, media, dubbing, everything. So it's all there. And I give my usual kind of industry overview and outlook at the beginning. So this week was an interesting launch slash not launch, where DeepL apparently, like, they try to launch a writer tool, like a writer support tool, something probably similar to Grammarly, and pulled the launch again. So it kind of made it onto a bunch of like writers blogs, especially a number of them are in German, and so they started writing about it, like, hey, this is the new launch of like DeepL's latest product, and it's going to help you write better texts, etc. And then, like, when you actually went to deepl.com/write, it will go to like a page maintenance thingy. And so it looks like they kind of went out with this, but then pulled it back again. And they also spoke to, or they informed, we pinged them and like, hey, what's going on? No response. And then a couple of the other publications, they added that DeepL informed them that the test was actually meant to be only internal only, and it's no longer accessible, and that it would probably be launched in early 2023.
So someone's a bit overeager.
Someone's a bit overeager to show this product to the world. They do still have on their privacy policy page, they have a chapter on DeepL Write. They call it DeepL Write Alpha Beta. So go there if you want to read a bit of legalese on that new product.
In German?
No, this one is in English.
Okay.
But basically confirms that there is this thing in the works. I find it interesting because they're it would put them into competition with, I guess, Grammarly. And if you do a quick check with Grammarly, that's a large company. They have like more than 1,000 employees on LinkedIn, and which usually indicates like 700-800 full-time equivalents. It's been growing really strongly. And why compared to DeepL, they probably got about 300 to 400 people now. So why wouldn't you go after that product if that's something you can do at scale? And obviously DeepL has all this experience with DeepL Pro and these other machine translation products they have. Why wouldn't they go after something like Grammarly if they can, again, deliver the actual product? Also interesting, because we spoke about on this podcast many times, that they kind of go after the B2B and be more enterprise, and this is squarely B2C. So I'm not sure what your thoughts on this are.
Yeah, I mean, we have, like you said, spoken a lot about their move into B2B. We had that kind of deep dive into their LinkedIn page and profiles and what kind of jobs they were hiring and things like that. So I think to go B2C, again, I mean, it makes sense because you're launching, in theory, this new product. So maybe it's almost definitely lower hanging fruit, isn't it, to do B2C rather than maybe later it'll come into a B2B product solution.
A full suite of language technology solution for the ambitious enterprise. Yeah, all right. So we'll stay put alongside with the funding announcement, which, was in a sense kind of leaked and we covered, and still no official confirmation on that one. So looks like they're still wrapping up the terms there on that major funding round that will put them into the, unicorn stratosphere of startups. In terms of a little further down to earth, so there's this German agency for labor. I actually don't know the official the official term that is tracking like employment, and there's been a decrease in employed translators and interpreters in Germany. Apparently, there's 7,270 employed translators or interpreters in Germany that are like officially employed under all those beautiful German, protections and labor laws, and there's like a term for that. I'm not gonna try to put that out there. It's like sozialversicherungspflichtig Beschäftigte.
I'm not gonna put that out there, and then there you go.
I did.
For those who want to know.
For those who want to know. SVB, meaning like, yeah, again, you're protected by all these strong labor laws in Germany. And that is actually down from 7,900. So it's a drop of, roughly 600-700 people since 2017, kind of gradually came down. We all know that the language industry, of course, is very, very heavily dominated by freelancers, but, it's still interesting that you have less employment among the employed translators, of course. So this was tweeted out by our friends at UEPO, and if you don't follow them, do follow them. It's even though a lot of the content's in German, it's still very, very interesting data around the German translation market. Now, this kind of gels somewhat with our jobs index. What's happening there, Esther, this month?
Yeah, we just released the monthly figures for December. So we had index figure of 184.1, down around 3 points from November when the index stood at 187-ish. So it's gone down, not by a huge amount. It probably it's worth saying that the index has mostly climbed throughout 2022. So there were a couple of months so far, I say so far, this is the last month, but the couple of months where it did dip. So the dips in June, September, and now December, as well as the sort of regular seasonal drop in January. So it's potentially sort of a bit, more wavering than we would have liked or hoped to have seen kind of in post-COVID. But overall, the index is up around 11 points from January 2022, but it's only up around 3.6 points going sort of year to year, so from December 2021. So not terrible, but not great.
Is December usually a seasonal dip or not?
I don't think it is, no. You wouldn't normally see that. Obviously, I would say challenging comparables given the sort of the turbulence of COVID and what have you over the past couple of years. But no, typically, I don't think that we would see normally a drop in December, more so a drop in January.
All right. Well, so it'll be interesting to see what's going on in January.
Yeah, it's one to watch, I think, isn't it? Just overall over the next few months, whether we see more dips or whether it kind of plateaus.
What are you hearing out there?
I hear it's tough. Maybe less so on the kind of LSP side, but, I've seen probably as you have a fair bit on LinkedIn about sort of some people either being laid off, struggling to find jobs. A lot of people sort of saying, "Oh, I'm open to opportunities." But yeah, I think the jobs are still out there. It's maybe hard to come by, and obviously some people have been hit, maybe more so on the tech side.
I saw a LinkedIn post that Localize has had a pretty big wave of redundancies. Like it's always like when one of your former staff member posts like, hey, on LinkedIn, like, hey, I've been let go, and there's this big wave of people coming out. It's like, oh, okay, thank you very much. So yeah, so I guess all the high flying or not high flying, but like well funded, especially SaaS startups are having to tighten the belt this next year.
Well, maybe it's not such a big runway as they had originally thought when they secured the funding.
I mean, if you plan to just raise, and then, basically the money disappears, the easy money disappears, then yeah, you need to tighten the belt. Even if you're still growing, you have all this big kind of overhead that you're maintaining. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see in 2023 what's happening. I mean, the interesting or the positive would be that a lot of parts of the language industry is still considered as part of this kind of broader AI industry where funding is still flowing quite freely. And so if you can reposition yourself a little bit more towards that, then you should be, you should be more successful, I guess. Because yeah, there's so much going on. Just to go off on a bit of a tangent here, I was just playing around this morning with OpenAI's new chat. It's incredible. It's incredible. Like get an account, it's free, and then just play around with it. You can ask it like all kinds of crazy questions, and then it gives you answers. It's insane.
So like having a conversation.
You can have a conversation. It's scarily good. Yeah. So I've only played around with it just a little bit, but it's insane. It's insane. Check it out. Obviously, maybe there's some multilingual components we can look at as well. All right, moving to media localization, dubbing, subtitling, some M&A going on there, right?
Yeah, well, you say there's a lot going on. I think media localization is a good example of where a lot of things are happening. So got two M&A transactions that we can talk to you about. One is Blue Digital has acquired Hey Million, and this is part of their sort of move deeper into media localization because so Blue Digital is a media services provider. They would consider themselves, so they're doing other services, not just localization. The deal closed, I think, sort of around the 18th of November. Based in California, Blue Digital Group, whereas Hey Million is based in the UK. It was founded in 2007 and was also a vendor to Blue prior to the deal. So Hey Million is focusing on subtitling, dubbing, access services. So kind of that quite core localization plus access services space. So an interesting one. Blue, they typically, like I said, based in California, US. They've got a cloud-based media software. They also offer production and distribution services. It looks like in 2022, they've become a bit more intentional about building out localization capabilities. They hired a VP of content globalization in March and then also acquired another US-based dubbing and audio facility called Central Post LA in May. So it's an interesting addition. Now, obviously, Hey Million, based in the UK, or headquartered in the UK, I should say, but adding dubbing facilities in Mexico and then operations hubs in the UK, in Greece as well. So adding to the Latin America presence. And yeah, gradually to be integrated into Blue's ecosystem, which presumably will rely on that kind of cloud-based media software that Blue has.
Is a private company, right? Blue Digital?
I believe so. I haven't explored it too much, to be honest. We would have to look into it. I don't know whether that was part of the article.
I think, yeah, they're private company. Because, yeah, on the public side, Zoo is just like on a tear, like basically all-time high, 170 million pound market cap, basically $200 million market cap. Really booming there. And then there's another one just hit this morning. We haven't even covered that on the website yet. So Deluxe acquired Post Haste Digital.
I like the name. I don't know why. I like it. Yeah, Deluxe is one of the sort of major players, giant of media localization, you would say, also headquartered in the US. They've acquired Post Haste Digital, which is a specialist in English language dubbing. Now, we talked a lot about English language dubbing, not only on this podcast, but also in our media localization coverage, just generally as a big growth area, as you know, the streaming platforms have poured money into producing and acquiring non-English language series. I think we even talked about that, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something. So we've got Post Haste that was founded in 2003. This is the acquired company. They do English dubbing, audio, video mastering. They work for clients including Netflix. So they're part of the post-production partner program. Disney, Sony, so the kind of usual suspects of that space. They were apparently responsible for dubbing the English dubbing of shows including Lupin, Fauda, I'm going to try and say this one, El Presidente Juego de Corrupción.
Not bad, not bad.
Thank you. And Kiss Sixth Sense.
I can't pronounce that.
That's very difficult to say. It's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? So, but yeah, it seems like an English language specialist. They've got 3 operating facilities in LA and Burbank, so close geographically also to where, you know, Deluxe would be. They've got 5 recording rooms, theatrical mixing stage, 3, I don't know what this is, near field mixing stages, and 6 audio editing suites, 3 QC quality control suites, and 2 video editing suites. So kind of really tooled up again to provide this kind of, well, dubbing, etc. services.
5 dubbing recording rooms in LA and Burbank. Okay, so it's kind of on site. Huh? Interesting.
Well, it's probably kitted out. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like, here's a room. It'll be proper sort of high spec stuff.
I would wonder, what's the advantage of being in LA or Burbank? Like, this is very, very expensive real estate.
The actors, the voice talent, presumably. The clients, for another.
Of course, like, you have all these voice actors there.
Well, actors who would then also be available for voice acting.
There you go. You solved my question.
If it's English plus acting, you know, where better to be than there? LA.
It's got to be super expensive.
Let's say you mentioned expensive. The transaction, it's not validated by us because I think, like you said, we haven't published the piece yet. But what I saw from another source was that transaction was reportedly valued post haste. They said in the multiple 7-figure range. So if I'm not wrong, that would be tens of millions.
Multiple 7-figure. Like, can you be vaguer?
10 to 99 million.
Yeah, that's probably like 30, 40, 50. Because if it was more, then they would have chosen a grandioser.
I know what you mean.
Multiple 7-figure range.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for this week's news show. Do join us next week on Wednesday at Sliticon remotely. Stay tuned.